I'm reviewing Jurassic Park between the book and movie. Let's get into it. Number 10, Steven Spielberg. I touched on this in the Casper video. Steven Spielberg can take simple ideas and turn it into a work of art and something more complicated. Jurassic Park, the book, is a good book. Don't get me wrong. I love the movie, I love the book, both in its own unique ways. I feel there is that comparison that you do have with yourself. Though as far as writing is concerned, you can learn a lot from what Steven Spielberg has done when he takes something and turns it into something better. Though with the book, I don't know, it's an argument that the book is still a good book. Steven Spielberg just has his way of making changes that are sometimes necessary, and sometimes something could be left out that feels like it should have been left in. I do recommend comparing and looking at what Steven Spielberg does between books and film.
Having said that, I do have some thoughts.
My friend here thinks it's fine the way it is.
Number 9, Stegosaurus. Stegosauruses are in the book when they're on the tour ride. With a few other dinosaurs, there's not too many that are mentioned. You do see the scene where he's stealing the DNA samples. Now, yes, that is some spelling errors within that scene. Mistakes do happen within film as well as in books. So please try not to point out too many of my flaws. All said, there are no aquatic dinosaurs in the Jurassic Park book, neither are there any flying dinosaurs. There is a scene with giant fish tanks of jellyfish, however. So there is a few different hints of possibilities moving forward within other books, but no, that did not happen within this book. The Stegosaurus made a bit of a part, though most of the dinosaurs you do see within the film are in the book as well. Number 8, John Hammond. Richard Attenborough played the part. That is also the older brother to Michael Attenborough. Just if you didn't know, he had a loving personality within the movie. He was relatable. When it came to a lot of the other crises that happened, you do empathise with the character. He was a visionary going for some pretty big goals, whether it was right, wrong, ethical, whatever. Now, there would be a lot of support to back that up, to create a dinosaur park. He's a visionary. In the book, he's a bit more of a dweeb. I didn't like the character within the book. I feel like the closest interpretation of the character was from the parody movie Chicken Park. I felt like the movie Chicken Park played his part a lot more accurately compared to the book. Within the book, it does have its challenges to work out with the character, and in the book, he dies at the end. So there is some differences, whereas in the movie, it's that hardship of having your life's work and your big dreams and big goals all come to a clashing end. Number 7, 3 protagonists. With the book, there is a heavy focus on the Ian Malcolm character, as well as Ellie Sattler and Alan Grant. The 3 characters work so well for this book and within the film. They have more of a deeper detail within the book. There is a lot more background explanation to the characters. I found the relationships between the 3 characters and how they interacted moving the story along, even though they were divided. I found a lot of the scenes were interesting, they were engaging. The conflict with velociraptors especially added so much tension into the story. Number 6, intelligent dinosaurs.
Raptor was capable of sophisticated vocalizations, which would have been a tremendous evolutionary advantage. Fierce, intelligent, and socially sophisticated. They were able to hunt in numbers.
One of the biggest differences in the book, which does touch on a little bit in Jurassic Park 3, especially the velociraptors being more intelligent, it touches on that in this book. Now, with the velociraptors, there are so many scenes where Alan Grant and the kids are climbing up the tree. That's actually getting away from velociraptors. There's more intensity in there. Dr. Henry Wu gets killed by a velociraptor. There is more integrity with it. The book displays the velociraptors to be quite intelligent. There was a lot more with the Dilophosaurus compared to just killing off the Dennis character, I also found the T-Rex was a lot more intelligent, and that also led to some other points later on within the story. Number 5, Dr. Henry Wu.
And how do you know they can't breathe? Well, because all the animals in Jurassic Park are female.
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
Thanks for the tip.
I just want to touch on his character within the book. There is the push that you hear about in Jurassic World. Now, in the book, you feel that pressure of the character and what he's doing within trying to create something more. There is the pressure of Mark Hammond to obviously do what he's doing with the cloning. There is a bigger detailed explanation, and if you do like science fiction, even though this book is targeted for adults, I find a lot of young readers who are middle school are enjoying reading this book.
Bigger, scarier, cooler, I believe is the word that you used in your memo.
With Dr. Henry Wu, he feels like he's still a villainous character within the book. Within the film, he looks like he is partially villainous in the first movie, but with the Jurassic World trilogy, he also feels like he's caught in the middle of things with what he's doing. Now, sometimes when it came to certain scientific research, whether it's right or wrong, the ethical grounds, it's trying to accomplish something that hasn't been done. And regardless of those sorts of boundaries, I found it was a fascinating subject to touch on. Number 4, security. I felt like while reading the book, there was a deeper detail on the security measures. You felt like it with the workers, you feel like it with how they're from the security room trying to play God. It had that feeling as like the video games Jurassic World Evolution 1 and 2. I didn't play too much of either game just because of time restraints. They do look interesting, don't get me wrong, just time is of the essence. With the perspective on how it's written though, I do feel like I got immersed into the story. The author has done a fantastic job with that. With some of the other security measures where characters are obviously hostile, primarily against velociraptors like in the movie. As said in the book, they are much more menacing. With the security measures, I felt like there was something else that just added a realistic layer within the story where it felt like certain questions that you would have, well, why wasn't this put in place and why can't we argue this point? It felt like a really well structured book without too many real flaws or errors. Number 3, deleted scene. With the book, it had a scene where the T-Rex is swimming through the water to chase the other characters. There was more of a depiction of this deleted scene within the Sega games, Nintendo games. Yeah, it's not going to be obviously accurate from a 16-bit game, though this scene within the book, it showed that intelligence of the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and it was also showing some of the other different species of animals that they used to create the DNA code. It was also more depicted in the third movie, where he is explaining that the Jurassic Park dinosaurs are nothing more than theme park attractions. With the book, I felt like, yeah, there was that part of bigger consequences because of what they were playing with. So the T-Rex was doing something so out of character to what you would think how it was swimming. And the raft disaster to try to get away, it felt quite intense. Number 2, not romantically involved.
I am coming with you.
Between the Alan Grant character and Ellie Sattler character, I like them both. And within the story, it touches on in Jurassic Park 3 that she got married and had children to someone else. Now, in the most recent film, Fallen Dominion, in the most recent film, I was watching it with my son, and he asked on some of the subject matter because he wasn't quite piecing it together with the regrets. And it was one of the things. It showed how he had his profession as obsession, and which way to have a relationship with a long supporting friend. From the two characters, what they've done with the films, and this is something that Steven Spielberg does. He did a lot more with the characterization over a span of so many stories, even though you don't know how many movies were going to be made and greenlit, whatever the case. It was having that long-term story being told. And this is something that I do like, from the way a character is within the story, what you can do to progress into a sequel, into a follow-up. And sometimes you will have characters that you create and other characters for sequels, whether people love them, hate them, want them to be together, or whether they should or shouldn't be together. Number 1, survivors. In the end, the 4 survivors, Dr. Alan Grant, Ellie Sattler, and then you have the 2 kids, Lex and Tim. Tim was also older in the book compared to the movie. As said, Steven Spielberg will change characterizations to make characters more relatable and more appealing to a wider audience, and the Tim character absolutely did. In the movie, he was more relatable with the younger audience, and that was one of the things that made it even though it had its science fiction elements, it made it a family movie, even though it was based off an adult fiction book. Within the movie, John Hammond survives. Now, there are a few other characters as well, some minor characters. Now, this also created a different conflict, which I'll bring up in the next video, because the Ian character died in this book, and he's suddenly brought back to life for the second book. But that's another story and shall be told another time. Otherwise, if you liked this video or had any information that was necessary or helped inspire you, please hit the like button and push this video out further, and I will see you all next time.